G'day guys, hope you're all doing well today. I want to start off just apologising for the shit quality on the episode prior, the episode last week with Harry Beecham. It's annoying. It was actually a really good episode. I enjoyed, having the conversation with Harry and learning all the logistics and everything that comes into like basketball and the nation perspective of it, like hey, if all this other stuff with the Australia team and with their new trip to Turkey for the World Cup. But other than that, just like to apologise for the terrible quality. The cord right here for my other microphone, it actually broke. So I wasn't able to use that microphone. So I just sorted out a Bluetooth microphone that didn't really work too well with the sound quality. Sound quality was a lot worse, and it picked up Harry's voice, which made it echo. But other than that, today I wanted to chat about stress. And so recently I've been getting pretty stressed with like year 12 school and the workload, especially with I think it was 2 weeks ago from now, I had all my sacks in the 1 week. So basically this is just an episode for me to just bitch and whine about how stressful my life is. But other than that, we need to understand what stress is. So stress is a biological response to what we perceive as a threat. So it's also a feeling of our emotional and physical tension that comes from events that make us feel, frustrated, angry, or nervous. So basically, when you're stressed, your body releases hormones in the within itself that produce the fight or flight response. A bunch of hormones that I can't pronounce, which this increases your heart rate, your blood pressure, your breath rate, and the blood flow that goes towards your muscles. So this associates with, your body doing like intense exercise. So it has the exact same bodily changes when you're doing intense exercise as it does with the fight or flight response, because it's your body getting ready to basically just like survive at what all costs. So being stressed is it's a very common like daily life, occurrence that we actually need in our everyday life. And so, as I said before, 2 weeks ago, I had all my sacks for each subject in the 1 week. So I had 5 in 1 week. And through that whole process of like leading up to it, I just became so overwhelmed by how much I had to do and what subjects I was going to prioritize for my study. And with that, some subjects didn't do as well on as I wanted to. And the anticipation for like the outcome of what I wanted to get was making me, stressed. So on Tuesday, I had health and human and PE on the same day, which were both back to back. So I had health and human period 5 and 6. And then straight after school, I had to run down to the South Room and do my PE sack, which I'm happy I did well on my PE sack, but health and human I could have done a lot better. Then Wednesday, Thursday were the 2 different math sacks. So both were short answer, but second one was much harder. And because our class was like the last to do the sack with compared to the other 2 classes, just ignoring mum. Because our class was the last one to do all the other classes. We got told the second sack by everyone else, like, oh, it's so fucking hard. Like, everyone gets different tests and like you can't like cheat whatsoever. So that was a bit of a bummer. But then Friday I had BizMan, which I've put the most time and effort into. But once I started, actually doing the sack and reading through every page, some of the questions on there were just so peculiar. Like, they were so different. It was nothing like I've ever seen on the past sacks. Like, not to toot my own horn, but I did 15 practice sacks beforehand on the past, on the sacks 5 years prior. So I did 3 on, no. Yeah, I did 3. Wait, how do I explain this? So the sacks from the past 5 years, I did 3 times. So 2022, I did that 3 times. 2023, I did that 3 times. 2020, that 3 times for the past 5 years. And all those questions were nothing like anything that we've seen on the recent sack, on the sack that we just had. Like, the questions were so weird. But I had a meeting with one of my old BizMan teachers who is taking, I think, 2, 3, 4 BizMan classes at the moment. And he said there's nothing to worry about, because if you've done that much amount of, preparation, and you found it that hard, then that's going to be the exact same feeling for everyone else. Another thing that I've been stressed about, this episode is just kind of letting me bitch and whine, but because recently, like about 5, maybe 6 months ago, I had a overuse injury in my lower back, and that's been like limiting how much exercise and how much training I can do towards footy and just keeping fit in general. And so by having this, shitty injury in my lower back, because, back injuries are one of the most limiting injuries with what you can do with it. So I couldn't go to the gym as often as I wanted to. Like, I was used to training, I was used to training a couple times a day, doing that a few times a week, but training at least 5 times a week. And so going from that to, not training at all for 3 weeks straight, because my physio told me, if you keep on training, you're most likely going to have a stress fracture in your back, and that'll take you out for way, way longer than, you'd want to. But yeah, I couldn't train for about 3 weeks straight, and then from those 3 weeks, I could only train once or twice. And then the next week was 2 to 3, and then the week after was 2 to 4. And I was staying at 2 to 4 for about another 2 weeks after that. But doing all of that, it kind of made me stress about how, like, I'm going to get, fit for footy season, which now I've already figured out. I played a couple pracky games, which I know for sure will help me get fit enough for round 1 for school. But it's because I'm taking it so seriously, I want to make sure that I'm in the best condition possible. And by having that back injury, it just made me stress out way too much and worry so much about, being able to play properly and being back in time for school footy and being fit enough. But yeah, even just footy aside, like, not being able to train as much, like lowering my level of fitness, just, overwhelmed me so much and made me so stressed out, because I'm so used to being able to train so much, and, exercise is the biggest benefit for me, for my mental health, and not being able to do that carrying a really big toll. So having that limit on what type of exercise and how much exercise I could do, it took a big toll on my mental health and increased my stress way more than, it should be. And so to, like, kind of combat with that, I had a meeting with a physio, and she just advised me to start cross training. So I had to start swimming, which, for those of you who don't know, I'm a bloody shocking swimmer. At the start, I couldn't even swim 50 meters, and I swim 2 times a week. And so I'd swim 2 times a week, and I wouldn't be able to swim 50 meters without stopping halfway. So I could only swim 25. But, now I'm able to, just about swim 100 somewhat comfortably. But with stressful situations like that, I think it's really important to not get so sucked into it. Instead, just take a step back and somewhat try and find a solution, because there's always a solution to almost every situation that you get. But from that aside, the way that you attack your stress and cope with it is due to 2 major factors, and that's the duration of the stress and the level of the stress. So with the duration of the stress, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's how long the stress is lasting for, and the level of the stress differs from person to person. So you're not going to be as stressed about, you forgot to take out the washing before mum gets home. Whereas, you got to cut a wire to save the world. You're going to be more stressed in that situation than forgetting to take out the washing. I did take out the washing, mum. I will do it after. But for example, if you had a 10-minute, you had to do a 10-minute speech in front of everyone in your school, the duration of, this event could last from the day prior, and, when you're going to bed, you're thinking of it the entire time, starting from then till when you actually do it, when you actually do the speech. That could be, 16 hours. So the duration of the stress is 16 hours. But through that duration, it can affect other parts of your health. So it can affect your sleep majorly. Since you're stressed, your heart rate's too high, which won't allow you to fall asleep as easy. Yeah, your blood pressure's high and your breath rate's high. And having all those stressful factors whilst you're trying to relax and fall asleep, which your breath rate is meant to be low when you sleep. Your heart rate is meant to drastically drop when you sleep. And you're not meant to have high blood pressure when you're falling asleep. So having all those factors that come with stress come upon you when you're going to bed, it will affect how much deep sleep you get, core sleep, REM sleep. And especially if you're doing a speech, REM sleep's the most important, because REM sleep helps with your memorization of the stuff that you learned that day. And so affecting your sleep, that, it drastically affects your day-to-day life. If you don't get enough sleep, you're not going to be able to basically live properly. You won't be able to function, and your body won't be able to perform optimally. But then the level of stress with this example, it differs from person to person. So just an example of me, if I was to do this in year 9, when I was just, I didn't give a fuck about anything. I just had no, way of, I wouldn't say way of living life, but no purpose. And so I wouldn't have, I've been more outgoing now than I was in year 9. And the way I talk is a lot different. And so I'd like to say that I speak more maturely now. Me making a 10-minute speech in front of the whole school in year 9, my stress levels would be through the roof. Whereas now, I feel like I'd be able to somewhat comfortably make a speech in front of my whole school, as I feel like I'm more mature about it, and I'd be able to handle it a lot better, because I've figured out so many different techniques to use to help myself combat against stress, as I've had so many times when I need to learn how to absorb the stress and use it to my advantage. But in our lives, we actually do need stress. So we need stress, to overcome challenges, to make life, somewhat difficult. If you make life too easy, you see people that play video games, eat shit all day, sleep all day, don't exercise. Their life seems horrible from the outside. If you don't have stress, the stress of, forcing yourself to go to the gym, you're like, oh, I've got to go to the gym today, but I don't want to. And you start overthinking about it. It becomes overwhelming. Having that stress is good for you, and being able to overcome it, it drastically develops yourself, so much. I can't even explain it. Like, the development that comes from overcoming stress and doing shit to overcome stressful situations is ridiculous. A common reason why people, especially my age group and people in year 12, common reason why they get stressed is due to not doing homework, not studying for SACs, just leaving to the last minute. The best way to overcome that stress is to just fucking do the work. Now, I'm not saying it's I'm the perfect student. I never not do the work that I'm supposed to. Yeah, I leave some work behind and I don't do some tasks. But if you're worried about being stressed about schoolwork and you're not fucking doing it, all you gotta do is just put pen to paper or put your hands on the bloody keyboard and just start typing. It's like something is better than nothing. But yeah, if we don't have stress in our lives, we won't have any sort of development within ourselves. So if you just go around life willy-nilly with no stress, you won't develop mentally. You won't be able to, if you don't have some sort of negative things in your life to overcome, life gets too easy. And it's like with millionaires, once you have all the money in the world, life just becomes boring. That's why most of the millionaires like a ridiculous amount of depressed, because they have everything that they ever wanted, but they have nothing to overcome now. How do we manage stress, and how do we know when to act upon it? So most of the time, people let stress, take over them, and they don't know what to do. So this could be, I'll just give an example of myself. Before a footy game, I used to get ridiculously stressed out, and most of my teammates wouldn't even see me talk before the game until the starting siren would go off, and that'll be because I'm overthinking about what's going to happen in the game, what I'm going to do, and literally every little thing that could happen in the game, I was overthinking about. And so a tip from me, if you want to overcome that type of stress, that can even be for sacks for work, is first one is to try and get into meditating. And it can seem really dicky saying to everyone, I'm trying to get into meditating, but even that, most of the time, people don't realize that, for example, if you're doing work and then you go and take a walk, that's a type of meditation, because you're working on your breath, especially if you go without your phone and without music, and you're just listening to your breath and the sounds around you and absorbing everything around you. That is a type of meditation. So I would say try and get into like some sort of Wim Hof breathing. So that's like a quick inhale, quick exhale. I don't know how to describe it, but he's got plenty of videos on YouTube that take you through an entire session. So even though it's just doing one round, you'll automatically get this like euphoric feeling of like, holy shit, I feel like unreal right now. And when you go through a whole 3 rounds, especially the first time you do it, you'll start to get all these tinglings in your hands, your toes, maybe even like your back and your legs, and your body temperature will change. And it's like all this unreal feelings that, you can get from, like different drugs that you get from breath work. And so doing that, it'll lower your heart rate, it will lower, stress levels drastically. You'll feel overall much better. So before going to games, I would do a little bit of breathing. I would just lie on the ground, just focus on my breath, just slow inhale, slow exhale, just slow down my heart rate and calm down. Then once I'm actually at the game, I'd, let myself loose and just get my heart rate up and get excited. But yeah, so basically Wim Hof, I don't know where he's from, maybe Iceland or Sweden or something like that. I'll figure it out, but he's this just like breathwork guru who figured out that he can control his breath to change how he feels and how he can combat against like environmental challenges and mental challenges. And so he did like a marathon in just shorts in like snowing weather, something like that. I'll put it just above me, like what he actually did. He submerged himself as well in like 3 liters of ice or something like that. 3 liters, like a bunch of ice. And he's got all these different records where like the environmental challenges are like ridiculous that normal everyday people wouldn't be able to do. And he just overcomes them just through his breath work. Another tip that I would give when trying to manage stress, especially for like students that are listening to this, is if you're doing your schoolwork or homework, try to 30 minutes of good solid study with your phone in the other room. And after your 30 minutes is up, set like a timer for 30 minutes. After that's up, just turn up your alarm and then just go out for a walk. Just take the dogs with you. No phone, no headphones, like no music, no nothing. just absorb everything around you, and you'll find that whatever you're stressing about at that moment in time, you'll just like almost completely forget about it, and your stress levels will drastically decrease. Another really easy one is just literally lay down and breathe. So I remember when I was in Oakley Chargers for futures, we would, before games, we would get everyone on the ground and we would get everyone to kick their feet up on the like little benches that go around the entire club room, and everyone would just lie there and then just do breath work. We'd all just do slow inhale, slow exhale, slow inhale, slow exhale. And we do that for like 5 minutes before the game. Everyone would slowly get up, and then we get into a circle and then just get hyped up again. And doing that, not really realizing at the time, but post game and week after, I was like, shit, like I actually felt like unreal after doing that breath work and meditating before the game. And so I'm actually going to try and implement that, into my footy season this year when I'm feeling super overwhelmed and super stressed about maybe a big game against, Marsden or Camberwell. And I might do some meditation beforehand or something like that. But, overall, I think stress can be really positive, but also really negative. It's hard to realize when the stress is becoming too overwhelming for yourself, but it's obvious and it's hard to see at the same time. Like, it's obvious because you're feeling it. You'll become so overwhelmed and your breath will just start going like, you start just breathing way too quick. What the fuck was that stutter? Oh my God. But yeah, you just start breathing way too quick. And, you won't be able to comprehend what's going on or, what to do about anything. And your mind just going, just too many thoughts, like having 1,000 thoughts per second. Like, it's obvious that you're feeling it, but to realize that you're becoming stressed, that's the hard part. And that just comes with like genuine repetition. Like, put yourself into stressful situations. Like, go out like in public and ask someone like a random question that like you're thinking about. That will put you in a stressful situation. And if you overcome that, you will feel fucking unreal about yourself. You'll be like, holy shit. Even though that was like so like meaningless, I was able to do it just because I told myself. And it gives you like this unreal self-respect for yourself, being able to overcome stressful situations and all other good stuff. But today, to be honest, was just a little bitch and whine session about me and school and footy in my back. But hopefully you guys got something out of it other than I'm just a little bitch. And hopefully you guys tune to the next episode. Feel free to share this on Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. Send it to your mates. Send it to your grandma. Send it to your mum. Send it to your dad, your cousins, whoever. But I'll see you guys for the next episode, and feel free to suggest to me some other episodes that you want to listen to or other people that you want to have on.